En anglais et puis après en français. Good day everyone. Today I'm in London, Ontario. Before I make my announcement, I would like to introduce some of our candidates that are behind me, and I'm very pleased to have a nice team of candidates from different ridings. So I will have the opportunity after this press conference to introduce them. I want to discuss the issue today of mass immigration and how important it is that immigrants integrate our society so that we maintain our unity and social cohesion as a country. When it was founded in 2018, the PPC was immediately attacked by the old media and political establishment because I was proposing a lower annual target for immigration than the Liberals. There was a taboo about it then. Unless you supported always having more and more and more immigrants, you were called a racist and anti-immigrant xenophobe. But it was already clear at that time that there was a problem. I rang the alarm bell in 2019 about the housing crisis, especially in Toronto and Vancouver, where a large proportion of immigrants settle. Nobody wanted to recognize the problem then. I also said that Trudeau's cult of diversity and radical multiculturalism was dividing our country into tribes, that we were creating ghettos, that we were importing conflicts from other countries, and that Canada's culture, heritage, and identity were being diluted because it was impossible to successfully integrate so many immigrants. Again, we were accused of being intolerant, even though many PPC candidates were themselves immigrants or sons and daughters of immigrants. Hysterical left-wing journalists panicked when pro-PPC billboards appeared across the country with the slogan, "Say no to mass immigration." It was impossible to have a rational conversation on this issue. 6 years later, it has become absolutely clear that we were right. Today, there is a new consensus that is emerging. Mass immigration is indeed a major cause of the housing crisis. Even the Liberal government had to admit it. Mass immigration is also responsible for our stagnation of our standard of living. The economy is growing, but not as fast as the population. That's why our GDP per capita is the same today as it was 10 years ago. And who cannot recognize also that mass immigration increases pressure on our failing health care system, social programs, and infrastructures. We bring in too many immigrants, temporary foreign workers, and foreign students who don't have the skills that we need. Instead, they compete with young Canadians and semi-retired seniors for low-skilled jobs. We have all heard about the immigration scams to bring people here under fraudulent claims. There may be up to 500,000 illegal migrants in this country today who have stayed after their visa has expired. The People's Party is not against immigration or against immigrants. Many of our candidates and volunteers across the country are immigrants. What we are against is mass immigration. What we denounce are the many negative impacts that mass immigration has on our country. And polls show that the vast majority of Canadians now agree with what we were saying 6 years ago. A nation must be based on a sense of belonging, of participating in a common national project and sharing the same values. It is only when these sentiments are widely shared that we can develop the trust and common understandings necessary for our society and institutions to function. For many decades, Canada welcomed a reasonable number of immigrants who had to go through a very difficult selection process, who came here to work and become Canadian. Not to live like foreigners among us as if they were still in their home country. But when over 1 million foreigners come to Canada every year, that process of economic, social, cultural integration simply falls apart. Moreover, the official policy of multiculturalism encourages immigrants to keep the values and culture they left behind, instead of integrating into Canadian society and adopting Canadian values and culture. It is time to put an end to this process of disintegration of our Canadian identity and social cohesion. This is why the People's Party has proposed the following policies. First, impose a moratorium on new permanent residents for as many years as necessary until the housing crisis has cooled down and the process of social and cultural disintegration due to mass immigration has been reversed. Second, deport all illegals who are staying in Canada after their visas have expired. Third, drastically lower the number of foreign students and temporary foreign workers and make sure that they do not compete with Canadian workers. And fourth, eliminate all funding to promote multiculturalism and emphasize instead the integration of immigrants into Canadian society. Mass immigration is destroying our society, our economy, and our unique Canadian identity. We need a pause to repair the damage. And therefore, we need a reasonable immigration policy that's in the interest of Canadians, old and new, not of foreigners. It's time to adopt these ambitious reforms with the People's Party. Thank you. Je vais maintenant faire ma déclaration en français. Bonjour à tous. Je suis aujourd'hui à London, Ontario. Je veux vous parler de la question de l'immigration de masse et de l'importance que c'est pour ici, pour le Canada, pour que les immigrants s'intègrent dans notre société, afin que nous puissions maintenir notre unité, notre cohésion sociale en tant que pays. Lorsque le Parti populaire a été fondé en 2018, il a immédiatement été attaqué. Oui, nous avons été attaqués par l'ensemble des médias et de la classe politique parce que nous proposions à l'époque un seuil annuel d'immigration plus bas que celui des libéraux. Un tabou complet entourait cette question. À moins d'être en faveur d'accepter toujours plus d'immigrants, on vous traitait de racistes, de xénophobes, anti-immigrants. Mais il était déjà clair à l'époque qu'il y avait un problème avec l'immigration. J'ai sonné l'alarme en 2019 à propos de la crise du logement, particulièrement à Toronto et à Vancouver, où une grande proportion d'immigrants s'installent. Personne ne voulait reconnaître le problème à l'époque. J'ai aussi dit que le culte de la diversité et le multiculturalisme radical de Trudeau divisaient notre pays en tribus, que cela créait des ghettos, que nous importions des conflits d'autres pays et que l'héritage culturel et l'identité du Canada étaient dilués parce qu'il était impossible d'intégrer avec succès autant d'immigrants. Encore une fois, tout le monde nous a accusés d'être intolérants, même si plusieurs de nos candidats étaient eux-mêmes des immigrants ou des fils et filles d'immigrants. Des journalistes gauchistes hystériques ont paniqué lorsque des panneaux publicitaires pro-PPC sont apparus dans tout le pays avec le slogan « Dites non à l'immigration de masse ». Il était impossible d'avoir une conversation rationnelle sur cette question. 6 ans plus tard, il est devenu absolument clair que nous avions raison. Aujourd'hui, un nouveau consensus se dégage. L'immigration de masse est effectivement une cause majeure de la crise du logement. Même le gouvernement libéral a dû l'admettre. L'immigration de masse est également responsable de la stagnation de notre niveau de vie. L'économie croît, bien sûr, mais pas aussi vite que la croissance de la population. C'est pourquoi notre PIB par habitant est le même aujourd'hui qu'il y a 10 ans. Et comment ne peut-on reconnaître que l'immigration de masse accroît la pression sur notre système de santé défaillant, nos programmes sociaux et nos infrastructures? Nous accueillons trop d'immigrants, de travailleurs étrangers temporaires et d'étudiants étrangers qui n'ont pas les compétences dont nous avons besoin. Au lieu de cela, ils font concurrence aux jeunes Canadiens et aux aînés semi-retraités pour des emplois peu qualifiés. Nous avons tous entendu parler des combines visant à faire venir des gens ici sous le couvert de demandes frauduleuses. Il pourrait y avoir jusqu'à 1 demi-million de migrants illégaux au Canada, des gens qui sont restés ici après l'expiration de leur visa. Le Parti populaire n'est pas contre l'immigration ou contre les immigrants. Plusieurs de nos candidats et bénévoles à travers le pays sont des immigrants. Nous sommes contre l'immigration de masse. Ce que nous dénonçons, ce sont les nombreux impacts négatifs qu'a l'immigration de masse sur notre pays. Et les sondages montrent que la grande majorité des Canadiens sont maintenant d'accord avec ce que nous disions il y a 6 ans. Un pays doit être fondé sur un sentiment d'appartenance, de participation à un projet national commun et de partage des mêmes valeurs. Ce n'est que lorsque ces sentiments sont largement partagés que nous pouvons développer la confiance et la compréhension commune nécessaires au bon fonctionnement de notre société et de nos institutions. Pendant de nombreuses décennies, le Canada a accueilli un nombre raisonnable d'immigrants qui ont dû passer par un processus de sélection difficile et rigoureux, qui sont venus ici pour travailler et devenir Canadiens, et non pour vivre comme des étrangers parmi nous, comme s'ils étaient encore dans leur pays d'origine. Mais quand plus d'1 million d'étrangers viennent s'installer au Canada chaque année, ce processus d'intégration économique, sociale et culturelle s'effondre. En outre, la politique officielle en faveur du multiculturalisme encourage les immigrants à conserver les valeurs et la culture qu'ils ont laissées au lieu de s'intégrer pleinement à notre société et d'adopter les valeurs et la culture canadienne. Il est temps de mettre un terme à ce processus de désintégration de notre identité et de notre cohésion sociale. C'est pourquoi le Parti populaire propose les politiques suivantes. Premièrement, imposer un moratoire sur les nouveaux résidents permanents pendant autant d'années que nécessaire jusqu'à ce que la crise du logement se soit résorbée et que le processus de désintégration sociale et culturelle dû à l'immigration de masse ait été stoppé. Deuxièmement, expulser tous les clandestins qui sont restés au Canada après l'expiration de leur visa. Troisièmement, réduire considérablement le nombre d'étudiants étrangers et de travailleurs étrangers temporaires et veiller à ce qu'ils ne soient pas en concurrence avec les travailleurs canadiens. Quatrièmement, éliminer tout financement visant à promouvoir le multiculturalisme et mettre plutôt l'accent sur l'intégration des immigrants dans notre société. L'immigration de masse est en train de détruire notre société, notre économie, notre unique identité canadienne et nous avons besoin d'une pause pour réparer les dégâts. Et par la suite, nous avons besoin d'une politique raisonnable en matière d'immigration qui soit dans l'intérêt des Canadiens, anciens et nouveaux, et non pas dans l'intérêt des étrangers. Il est temps d'adopter ces réformes ambitieuses avec le Parti populaire du Canada. Merci. And now I'm ready to answer questions.
If you have any question, please raise your hand. Si vous avez des questions, levez la main ici sur le Zoom, s'il vous plaît, merci. Non, nous n'avons pas de questions ici pour l'instant.
Okay, we have a question here. Go ahead, yeah.
Okay, Brian Bicknell from CTV. So I'm just wondering, you said you believe there's 500,000 illegal migrants or people who have stayed past their visas. I'm just wondering, how did you come to that number? Where did you find that? If you could maybe just explain that a little bit.
Yes, I said that there's about 500,000 of illegals, migrants here in our country, because, you know, all these people who came here under a visa and, you know, their temporary foreign workers visa or their, you know, international student visa have expired. And so when they are here illegally. So that's what I'm saying when we must deport all illegals, that are these people who are here without any visa or their visa has expired. So we need to know how many people, because, you know, coming from the government of Canada, it's between 25,000 illegals and up to 500,000 of them. We need to put the resources to be sure to find how many people, who are these people, and to be able to deport them. That must be the priority of the government.
So I'm just wondering, the deportation bit, the rest of the policy sounds fairly similar to some of the things that have already been done as far as reducing student visas, so on and so forth. Is that the main difference, or is there something else that I'd be missing?
Sorry, can you repeat the main difference between our policies and what else?
And the other parties, particularly what's been done in the last little while with the current Liberal government.
Thank you for asking. Our policy on immigration is very different than the Liberals and the Conservatives. For example, Pierre Poilievre is saying that it's okay with 250,000 new foreigners in our country every year. You must add to that the temporary foreign workers. You must add to that the international students. You must add to that the refugees. So over 3 years, it's about 1.5 million foreigners in our country. So for us, it is mass immigration. And, you know, when we are in the middle of a crisis, it's not time to add more and more migrants to our country. And for the Liberals, you know, they created that mess. They created that situation, and they're not ready to solve that. Both the Liberals and the Conservatives are pandering to ethnic communities to have their support. So for us, we don't pander to them. We are doing politics for all Canadians, and we want all Canadians to be successful. So that's why it is important to stop mass immigration and do that deportations. So if you agree with us that mass immigration is a huge problem in this country, the only party that is ready to solve that problem is the People's Party of Canada.
You mentioned you would put a moratorium on permanent residencies. Does that include people who are spouses and stuff like that?
Yeah, for permanent resident, our position is the moratorium, a real moratorium. So that means no more for a couple of years. And after that, like I said in my speech, we need to be sure when all the problems created by mass immigration will be solved, we will, yes, reopen our doors to immigration, but it must be based on our need as a country, what we need. And right now, you know, all these immigrants that are coming to our country are low-skilled immigrants. So our immigration system must be based on the capacity of our country to integrate these immigrants, and they must come here because, you know, they will be able to have a job and they will be able to integrate into our society. But that will be after our moratorium. When all these problems will be fixed, yes, we will reopen the doors to immigration, but it will take a couple of years before doing that.
My question is more along the lines of, does the moratorium include, for instance, immigrants who marry Canadians?
The moratorium is, yes, it's for everybody. Everybody who wanted to come to our country now, we will stop that. We will have that moratorium. The answer to your question is yes.
Just another question. You're standing in. Sorry. Of course, you're standing in front of the Government of Canada immigration sign. I don't know all the campaign election rules, but is what you're doing allowed in the election as far as using a government sign as part of your campaign?
Okay, sorry, I didn't understand. Can you speak louder? I think the mic is not functioning. Can you speak louder?
Yeah. Question is, standing in front of the Government of Canada sign, is that allowed to be used for campaign purposes in an election? Forgive me, I don't know all the rules, but what can you do?
Yeah, I'm here in front of that sign and the immigration center here. And yes, you know, I have the right to be here and I have the right to speak about what I'm speaking right now. We are in a free country. Thank you. That's it?
Nous n'avons pas d'autres questions ici. Sur le Zoom, pas d'autres questions.
Yeah. What is your question?
Just how would you go about deporting people, or what would the process involve in that regard?
What would be the process about deporting people? First, like I said, we must know the real number. We must be able to find them, and after that, deporting them. Yes, that will take a lot of resources, but now all the resources that are, you know, in that department to open our doors to immigration, they won't have to do that. That will be a moratorium. So all these people who are working at the Citizenship and Immigration Canada, their first job will be to find these people and deport them. You know, we have a legislation in Canada. Our legislation must be respected, and that's not the case right now. Thank you.
In the U.S., there are concerns about due process, people's rights. What would you do to make sure that people's rights are preserved and that only people who fall into the proper category would be deported?
No, it would be easy to know which one must be deported. It's the illegals, the ones who are here today and don't have a valid permit. You know, like I said, international students, when they have their diploma, they must go back to their country of origin. Right now, they are staying here without any permits, and their international students permit has expired. So these people are illegals, and we have the right to deport them. That's part in the legislation. Actually, we won't have to pass a new legislation. That is in our immigration legislation. The federal government has the right to deport people when they are here illegally, and they are illegal when they don't have any permit.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for asking. Okay, other question online?
No, we don't have any question here online.
Do we have any OK, merci. Bonjour tout le monde. Bonne journée. Bye-bye. Thank you.